Hi, I'm Bakhtiar Aslanov and welcome to A News. Let's see the top stories. Russia and Ukraine complete the largest prisoner exchange agreed during the Istanbul talks. Germany's GDP is projected to shrink due to tariffs imposed by the United States. Pope Leo XIV delivered his first address from the window of the Apostolic Palace. The final phase of the three-day prisoner of war swap between Russia and Ukraine has been completed, as both sides see the return of 303 captives.
Russia and Ukraine have completed the exchange of 1,000 prisoners of war each, in the largest such swap since the war began 3 years ago. The exchange has taken place over a three-day period beginning on Friday, which saw each side swap 390 prisoners. Saturday followed with the exchange of 307 more. The latest and final swap has seen the exchange of 303 captives from each side. Russian officials say they have involved specialists from the Defense Ministry to assist the returned captives and provide comprehensive support. The released prisoners have expressed deep relief, with some saying they couldn't believe the exchange was real until the final moments.
To be honest, I didn't believe till the last moment, until I changed into my uniform, that I had really been changed and that I am in Russia.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has thanked the team involved in the exchange and has vowed to return every hostage from Russia. The agreement to exchange 1,000 prisoners each was the only concrete step towards peace to emerge from the direct talks between the warring sides held in Istanbul when they failed to agree to a ceasefire. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers on both sides are believed to have been wounded or killed in Europe's deadliest war since World War II. Earlier, Pope Leo XIV has expressed willingness to host the next round of talks between Russia and Ukraine. However, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has called that solution inelegant and says it would put the Vatican in an uncomfortable position.
Russia launched a mass drone attack on Ukraine for the second consecutive night, killing at least a dozen people and injuring 11 others. This attack comes as Ukraine celebrates Kiev Day.
At least 12 people have been killed, including 3 children, and 11 others remain injured following a Russian drone attack on the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv and other cities. Officials, who had earlier warned of the mass drone strike, say it has also caused damage to buildings, including an apartment block in the city center which was hit, causing a fire to break out. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 69 missiles and 298 drones. This was the second consecutive attack that followed the heaviest Russian assaults on Kyiv throughout the full-scale war. It also comes as Ukraine celebrates Kyiv Day, which is a city holiday typically celebrated on the last Sunday in May. Residents in Kyiv gathered in an underground metro station, with many bringing chairs, blankets and sleeping bags while they took shelter from the attacks above ground. The drone strike also prompted Poland, Ukraine's neighbor, to scramble fighter jets and activate its air defenses to secure its airspace. Despite the hit on civilian settlements, Russia has previously denied targeting residential neighborhoods. Meanwhile, Russian officials say they had intercepted 110 Ukrainian drones, including 13 over the Moscow and Tver regions. No casualties have been reported so far.
U.S. President Donald Trump has vowed to protect America's massive military spending, telling West Point's graduating class that not even 10 cents will be cut from the $1 trillion defense budget.
US President Donald Trump declared that he will not cut a single dollar from the United States' newly proposed $1 trillion defense budget, vowing to keep military spending at historic highs as global threats evolve at West Point's 2024 commencement.
They subjected the armed forces to all manner of social projects and political causes while leaving our borders undefended and depleting our arsenals to fight other countries' wars. We fought for other countries' borders, but we didn't fight for our own border, but now we do, like we have never fought before, by the way. But under the Trump administration, those days are over. We're getting rid of the distractions and we're focusing our military on its core mission crushing America's adversaries, killing America's enemies, and defending our great American flag like it has never been defended before.
He touted a recruiting surge and rising morale under his leadership, while railing against diversity programs, transgender policies, and men competing in women's sports.
And we have a lot of people with a lot of very smart people, but they have to have common sense, and we've liberated our troops from divisive and demeaning political trainings. There will be no more critical race theory or transgender for everybody forced onto our brave men and women in uniform, or on anybody else for that matter in this country. And we will not have men playing in women's sports, if that's okay.
Earlier this month, the White House unveiled its fiscal year 2026 budget proposal, allocating a historic $1.01 trillion to defense, a 13% increase over the previous year, underscoring the administration's commitment to bolstering national security.
The German economy could take a major hit due to the 50% import duties on EU products imposed by the United States. According to Germany's Economic Institute, the country could lose up to 200 billion euros by the end of 2028 if the tariffs stay in place. This year alone, Germany's GDP could shrink by 0.1%, but the long-term damage would be much worse, averaging 1.1% lower growth each year through 2028. And if the EU responds with its own retaliatory tariffs, total losses could soar to 250 billion euros. The Israeli military says it has intercepted a missile launched from Yemen. Since the start of the Israel-Hamas war in October 2023, Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis have continued to fire missiles at Israel in what they say is solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Houthis have not issued a statement yet. Israeli protesters urge the government to strike a ceasefire deal and bring hostages home. Some also called for Prime Minister Netanyahu's resignation. The protests come as tensions in Gaza escalate since the collapse of a March ceasefire. Israeli forces have expanded buffer zones in Gaza, forcing much of the 2.3 million population into crowded central and coastal areas, while humanitarian situation remains challenging. The United Nations warns that the aid reaching Gaza is nowhere near enough. Secretary General Antonio Guterres says Israel is allowing only a teaspoon of help when a flood is urgently needed.
The UN chief says the people of Gaza are living through what may be the most brutal stage of the conflict, with life-saving aid barely trickling in. Despite Israel recently lifting part of its blockade and allowing some 300 trucks through, only about a third of those supplies have made it into warehouses, stopped by insecurity and chaotic conditions on the ground.
All the aid authorized until now amounts to a teaspoon of aid when a flood of assistance is required. Other essentials, including fuel, shelter, cooking gas, and water purification supplies, are prohibited.
Aid agencies say the need inside Gaza is overwhelming and growing by the day. Hardin Lang, Vice President for Programs and Policy at Refugees International, says what's getting in is nowhere near enough to prevent a humanitarian catastrophe.
So seeing a couple, dozens, if maybe 100 trucks make their way in over the last couple of days, it's just the very tip of what is required, right? We need 400, 500, 600 trucks moving a day. And not only do they need to be getting into Gaza, you need to be able to distribute them inside. So we saw over the last 24 hours at least one case where a World Food Program truck or convoy was looted. That looting is a subject of the level of, it's a product of the level of desperation that people are feeling, right? They can't even wait for it to get to a distribution site. That's how bad assistance is needed on the inside.
Chaos erupted Thursday night when a UN food convoy escorted by Hamas was ambushed and looted. Israeli drones then struck the area, killing 6 Hamas officers. Israel says it was targeting armed threats, not the aid itself. The UN refuses to join the new US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, saying it lacks neutrality.
The United Nations has been clear. We will not take part in any scheme that fails to respect international law and the humanitarian principles of humanity, impartiality, independence and neutrality. And we have been equally clear about what is needed: a permanent ceasefire, the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, and full humanitarian access.
According to the UN Secretary-General, more than 160,000 pallets of aid, enough to fill 9,000 trucks, remain stuck, while Gaza edges closer to famine.
Pope Leo XIV addressed the faithful from the window of the Apostolic Palace. In his inaugural Sunday appearance, he expressed gratitude for the support received and emphasized the need for unity and peace amid global conflicts.
Thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square to witness the message of faith from Pope Leo XIV, unity and peace. His first Regina Caeli address from the window of the Apostolic Palace, marking a significant moment in his papacy. Addressing the faithful, Pope Leo XIV expressed gratitude for the warm welcome he has received since his election earlier this month. He emphasized the importance of prayer and closeness in supporting his ministry.
First of all, I wish to thank you for the affection you are showing me, while I ask you to support me with your prayers and closeness. With these sentiments, our prayer embraces all people suffering from war. We invoke courage and perseverance for all those engaged in dialogue and the sincere search for peace.
Reflecting on the 10th anniversary of Pope Francis's environmental encyclical Laudato Si', Pope Leo XIV acknowledged its widespread impact and the ongoing importance of caring for our common home.
10 years ago, Pope Francis signed the encyclical Laudato Si', dedicated to the care of the common home. It had an extraordinary diffusion.
Concluding his address, Pope Leo XIV offered a simple yet heartfelt blessing to all present. His papal inauguration took place on May 18th in St. Peter's Square, where he said unity within the Church and a commitment to addressing modern challenges.
President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev held separate meetings with high-level foreign officials from Ukraine and Egypt, reaffirming Baku's commitment to international cooperation and fostering bilateral ties.
President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, received Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Andriy Sybiha. Sybiha conveyed the warm greetings of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and expressed sincere gratitude for Azerbaijan's ongoing humanitarian support to Ukraine, particularly noting the significance of reconstruction projects in the city of Irpin. The Ukrainian official also thanked Azerbaijan for its unwavering support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. President Aliyev, in response, extended his own greetings to President Zelensky and confirmed that humanitarian aid to Ukraine would continue in the future. Both sides emphasized the importance of mutual support for sovereignty and territorial integrity, highlighting the strength of bilateral ties. Discussions also focused on expanding cooperation in energy, renewable energy, transport, trade, and agriculture, sectors both countries see as key to deepening their partnership. President Aliyev also welcomed Abdel Wahab Abdel Razek, Speaker of the Senate of the Arab Republic of Egypt. The guest delivered the greetings of Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and noted that the Egyptian leader fondly remembers his previous meetings with the Azerbaijani head of state. President Aliyev thanked him for the warm words and asked that his own regards be conveyed to President el-Sisi. It was noted that the two countries have consistently supported one another in international organizations. Both sides also underscored the vital role of interparliamentary cooperation and delegation exchanges in fostering closer ties. The talks concluded with an exchange of views on potential areas of enhanced cooperation, particularly in the fields of economy, trade, culture, and humanitarian affairs.
Azerbaijan and Ukraine have reaffirmed their strong partnership. Foreign ministers from both countries met in Baku discussing regional security, economic ties and mutual support. Azerbaijani Foreign Minister Ceyhun Bayramov hosted his Ukrainian counterpart Andriy Sybiha in Baku. The sides discussed expanding cooperation in areas like energy, transport and humanitarian aid. Both reaffirmed support for each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Bayramov also briefed Sybiha on post-conflict reconstruction and the peace process with Armenia. Meanwhile, Ukraine's top diplomat thanked Azerbaijan for its humanitarian support and reconstruction aid.
Azerbaijan, as you know, has been continuously providing humanitarian assistance to Ukraine since the first days of the war. And during this period, humanitarian assistance totaling more than $40 million has been provided from state sources alone, covering a wide range of areas, including the military sector, food products, energy support, recovery of civilian infrastructure, including humanitarian demining, and a number of other areas.
I want to separately thank Azerbaijan for all the help you have provided and continue to provide to Ukraine since the first days of the Great War. We want to end this war this year, and accordingly, now is the time for diplomacy. Ukraine has unconditionally accepted the American proposal of President Trump for a ceasefire. We are ready for this.
Russian and Turkish foreign ministers are set to meet in Moscow to discuss ongoing negotiations and regional security. Sergei Lavrov and Hakan Fidan will hold talks from May 25th to 27th, focusing on the Russia-Ukraine negotiation process. The meeting will cover key issues in the South Caucasus, Libya, Syria, and the Black Sea region. Both ministers plan to exchange views on recent developments after talks in Istanbul, including ensuring safe navigation in the Black Sea. The high-level meeting highlights continued diplomatic efforts between Russia and Turkey to address regional challenges and strengthen cooperation. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico arrives in Armenia for a 3-day official visit to participate in the international forum Yerevan Dialogue, the forum's press service reports. Additionally, the forum, which is being held in the Armenian capital for the second time, will include the participation of France's Finance Minister for Foreign Affairs and European Affairs Jean-Noël Barrot, Hungary's Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó, and Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Sayed Khatibzadeh. Among the guests are also other representatives from governments, parliaments, international organizations and experts. The International Forum will take place on May 26th to 27th in Yerevan. A News takes to the streets of Yerevan and Baku to ask a simple yet deeply complex question. How do you see peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan? In the first part of our special report, we hear the hopes, doubts and scars still shaping people's perspectives on both sides.
Peace, a word carrying centuries of weight in the South Caucasus. The desire for peace runs through the streets of Yerevan and Baku, but so do the memories of conflict. After decades of war and mistrust, how do ordinary people now see the path forward?
Siyasət tərəfdən baxsaq yaxşıdır. Amma mənəvi olaraq özümüzün dəyərlərimizi fikirləşsək, bizə çəkdirdikləri o acılar, onlar yəni dərin yaralar buraxıb da məncə.
Դժվար է, մենք դրանց հետ միտեղ շատ դժվար է համատեղվել։ Նույնիսկ բարևել դեռ չեմ ցանկանա իրանցել, ասենք ասեմ։
Scars remain on both sides. So do doubts and preconditions. Some speak of peace only under certain terms.
Եթե ոչ մի տարածք չհանձնենք, լրին նույնն ունի, շատ լավ կլինի։ Եթե տարածք էլի պետք է հանձնենք թուրքերին, դա պետք չէ խաղաղությունը մեզ։ Հա, ինչքան մեր տարածքը կա, պահպանենք, այդ խաղաղությունը էլի հնարավոր է լինի։ Բայց եթե նորից վերցրածը չի տա։ Դժվար վերցրած է։ Ինչքան մեզ տարածք ունենք, պահպանվի, համաձայն ենք խաղաղությունը սլավան չի։
Ermənistan təbii ki talandadır və Azərbaycanın bütün şərtlərini, o şərtlərdəki qeyri-qanuni şərtlər deyil. Hamısı BMT nizamnaməsi daxilində olan, ona uyğun olan şərtlərdir ki, Ermənistanın konstitusiyasında bizə qarşı ərazi iddiaları var və bir də ki artıq heç vaxt funksiya göstərməyən bir grup vardı. O zaman lazımsız, mənasız bir grup vardı. Avrupa'nın grubun adı yadımdan o kadar faaliyetsiz olup ki adı da yadımdan çıkıyor. Minsk grubu, bəli, Minsk grubu, bəli. Onun ləğvi.
Yet, amid the bitterness, there is also hope. In both capitals, voices call for a better future.
Մենք հարևաններ ենք, պետք է իրար հետ ոչ մեկ ոչ էլ ադրբեջանցիները հեռու չեն փախնելու։
Yəqin ki, sülh müqaviləsi bağlansa yaxşı olar. Yəni müharibə olmaz, ən azı sabitlikdir, sakitlik olar.
For some, the past is irreconcilable. For others, peace is essential for the next generation and for survival itself.
Bir ana kimi mən heç nədən keçməzdim. Bir ana kimi keçməzdim. Amma gələcək var da, gələcək nəsil var. Bunu dövran göstərər.
Երկար տարի ճշտամիներ են եկել, տարբեր հայացողություններ, բայց ոնց էլ որ հիմա ոնց էլ որ հարևանություն պետք է անենք հարևանների հետ.
Peace, many say, is not an option. It's a necessity. But it must be built with truth, dignity and understanding, across borders and across generations.
Iran says it's ready to boost the regional trade. The country has offered logistics support to neighbors through its southern port of Bandar Abbas. Speaking at the launch of the Tehran Apron dry port terminal's final phase, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said landlocked countries like Russia, Belarus and several Central Asian and Caucasus states can now access global markets via Iran's transport network. He also confirmed that the key Chahabdar-Zabedan railway will be ready by the end of the year. A large Chinese freight train has already reached the site, signaling the start of operations. The spirit of ancient traditions and shared heritage came to life this week in Istanbul as the 7th Ethno Sport Culture Festival continues to celebrate the cultural unity of the Turkic world. One of the most captivating moments of the festival took place when the Azerbaijani delegation presented a breathtaking performance titled Victory, a tribute to equestrian heritage and national pride and the enduring bonds among Turkic nations. With President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and First Lady Emine Erdogan in attendance, the show left a powerful impression on all who witnessed it. In the heart of Istanbul, at the vibrant grounds of the 7th Ethno Sport Culture Festival, a dazzling spectacle unfolded, one that blended tradition, artistry and culture pride. The Azerbaijani delegation took center stage with a performance titled Victory, which drew a large and enthusiastic crowd. The showcase was attended by the President of the Republic of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and First Lady Emine Erdogan, who watched with visible admiration as the story of resilience, heritage and horsemanship played out before their eyes. Organized by the Equestrian Federation of Azerbaijan, the performance featured a 130-member ensemble, including dancers, musicians and riders. All united in delivering a vibrant portrayal of Turkic equestrian culture. At the heart of the show were 20 majestic Karabakh horses, revered as a national symbol of Azerbaijan and famed for their grace, intelligence and endurance. The performance was a masterful fusion of ancient Turkic traditions and Azerbaijani folklore. Audiences were transported through scenes of nomadic life, ceremonial battles and festive celebrations, all set to the rhythm of traditional Azerbaijani music and dynamic choreography. The synchronized movements of the Karabakh horses, ridden by skilled equestrians in traditional attire, added a unique authenticity and emotional depth to the program. Victory was not only a tribute to Azerbaijan's own cultural legacy, but also a reflection of the broader unity among Turkic nations, a theme echoed throughout the Ethno Sport Festival. The event offered a reminder of the deep-rooted historical ties and shared values that continued to connect communities across Central Asia, the Caucasus, and Anatolia. The performance received thunderous applause and a standing ovation, with President Erdogan and the First Lady expressing their appreciation for the artistry and symbolism conveyed on stage. That's all we have for you from Baku. Stay tuned to A News for more updates.